Now we will discuss about the conservation of biodiversity. Before moving to the conservation of biodiversity, first we will discuss about the biodiversity. The biodiversity is a term always indicate bio it means life we are saying, and diversity it means differentiation we are saying, or different forms we are saying. As we know, on the earth all the organisms which are there, all the plants which are there, or else all the animals which are there, they are not same in terms of the shape, structure, size, morphology, all these things. That means there is a difference. There is a difference in them. That difference which has been existed on the earth in the living organisms, we are calling as what? We are calling as a biodiversity. That means the diversity which has been shown by the living organisms in different biological levels, we are calling as what? We are calling as a biodiversity. The name, the term biodiversity has been popularized by the Edward Wilson. Edward Wilson. Edward Wilson is a scientist. He has been popularized the name as a biodiversity. Now, as we know, if you take the examples of the different existence of the different species here, as we know that actually 20,000 ant species are there on the earth. Nearly 20,000 of the orchid species are there on the earth. Nearly 28,000 of the fishes species are there on the earth here. Nearly 3 lakhs species of the beetles are there on the earth here. That means different types of the species. They are same, but they are existing. There is a difference in their existence here. There is a difference in their shapes here. That thing we are calling as what? Biodiversity we are calling. And in terms of the biodiversity here, that means simply if you are saying about the biodiversity, biodiversity it means diversity in the living organisms. If you are seeing about the biodiversity, if you are discussing about the biodiversity, biodiversity will be at the different levels. Different levels of the biodiversity if you are seeing here, three levels of the biodiversity we are seeing. The biodiversity we are seeing at the species level, first genetic level we are seeing, biodiversity at the genetic level, and at the species level, and at the ecosystem level. Ecosystem level. Here, if you are seeing the main thing here, genetic level, biodiversity at the genetic level itself indicates that actually the diversity at the gene level, right? The diversity at the genetic level we are calling as what? Biodiversity here. If you are seeing about the genetic level of the biodiversity, the main example we can take is actually Rauwolfia ommatiera plant. The Rauwolfia ommatiera plant, which is existing in the Himalaya region. Rauwolfia ommatiera plant, which are existing in the Himalaya region, it always extracts from this plant we can extract the reserpine drug. From this plant we can extract the reserpine drug. This reserpine drug is used in the treatment of the high blood pressure. That means Rauwolfia ommatiera plant, which is there in the Himalayas, it is showing the highest genetic diversity. The diversity at the genetic level we are calling as what? The biodiversity at the genetic level we are calling as genetic diversity. If you are taking another example of this genetic diversity also, particularly we had nearly 1,000 species of the mangoes we had, then 50,000 strains of the rice we had. All these things are shown at the genetic level only, and species level. The name itself indicated the diversity at the species level we are calling as what? Species diversity. Particularly example, if you are taking for the species diversity here, amphibian diversity we can see here. Amphibian diversity. As we know, amphibians are the organisms which actually they can live in the land and water we are saying. If you are taking the example of the amphibians here, the amphibians which are living in the Western Ghats are showing the highest species diversity than the Eastern Ghats here, right? This is about the species diversity. And ecosystem level of the biodiversity we are saying, and ecosystem level of the biodiversity if you are taking here actually, here particularly ecosystem is a place where organism is living. Simply we can take it as a habitat where the organism is living. Different types of the ecosystem we are seeing. Desert ecosystem we had, forest ecosystem we had, alpine ecosystem, vegetation ecosystem we had, then mangroves ecosystem we had, coral reefs ecosystem we had. That means different ecosystems we had. The differentiation, the biodiversity at the ecosystem level we are calling as what? Ecosystem biodiversity we are saying. And the ecosystem biodiversity which we had here, it is consisting of 3 indices again. The 3 indices mainly consisting of what here? Alpha diversity we had, beta diversity we had, then gamma diversity we had. Alpha diversity we had, beta diversity we had, gamma diversity we had. That means within the ecosystems again we are seeing the 3 types of the diversity here: alpha, beta, gamma diversities. Name itself indicate here alpha diversity, that is the diversity which we are seeing within the ecosystem. That means Diversity, the biodiversity which we are seeing within a single taxon or single within ecosystem, we are calling as what? We are calling as a alpha diversity. The diversity which is exhibited in the single taxon within an ecosystem, we are calling as what? Alpha diversity. The diversity which we are seeing between the two adjacent ecosystems, between the two adjacent ecosystems, we are calling it as a beta diversity. The diversity which is seen between the different types of ecosystems, between the different ecosystems, we are calling it as a gamma diversity. This is the introduction of the biodiversity we are saying. Apart from this introduction, now we are moving into our original topic, that is the conservation of biodiversity. Why we have to conserve the biodiversity? As we know, biodiversity is very important. Biodiversity is maintaining the ecological balance. For the maintenance of the ecological balance, for the maintenance of the ecological equilibrium, compulsory what we want to maintain the biodiversity, we want to protect the biodiversity, we want to conserve the biodiversity, that we are discussing now. Here, conservation of biodiversity, if you are taking here, what is the conservation of biodiversity? By which methods we can conserve the biodiversity? Here, conservation of biodiversity, if you are taking here, conservation of biodiversity, if you are taking conservation of biodiversity, here the conservation of biodiversity which we had here, it is of two methods. It is of two methods mainly we are saying. The conservation of biodiversity consisting of two methods. Two methods mainly consisting of what? In situ conservation, ex situ conservation. Here we have in situ conservation we have, then ex situ conservation we have. Ex situ conservation we have. Particularly, name itself indicate in situ conservation, it means the conservation within the habitat. That means on-site conservation we are saying. On-site conservation we are calling as what? We are calling as in situ conservation. Ex situ conservation, it means what actually? Apart from the habitat. Apart from if you are protecting the organisms, apart from the natural habitat, we are calling as what? Ex situ conservation. Ex situ conservation we are calling as a off-site conservation. Off-site conservation. Particularly here, conservation, the term always indicate protection we are saying. Conservation, the term always indicate protection we are saying. Particularly if you are taking the in situ conservation, again we are dividing the in situ conservation into four methods. We had four methods in the in situ conservation. The four methods mainly consisting of what here? The four methods mainly consisting of national parks. National parks we have, biosphere reserves we have, then sanctuaries, then sacred groves, These are the four methods by which we are doing the in situ conservation. As we know, in situ conservation, it means on-site conservation. Within the habitat, if you are within the natural habitat, if you are protecting the biodiversity, we are calling as what? In situ conservation. National parks we had, biosphere reserves we had, sanctuaries we had, sacred groves we had. If you are seeing what national parks, we had an idea about the national parks, biosphere reserves, and then sanctuaries and then sacred groves here. If you are seeing the number, all over India, nearly 90 national parks we had. All over India, we had 90 national parks. And biosphere reserves here, 17 biosphere reserves we had all over India. Then 448 sanctuaries we had all over the India, and sacred groves are the different places we can say here. Now, if you are saying the national parks, first of all, what are national parks here? As well, national parks are the natural habitats which it is consisting of a largest area with the highest vegetation, which it is consisting of a diversity of the flora and fauna, where the organisms, where the animals, where the wild animals, where the other animals, where they are living naturally. That areas we are calling as what? National parks. The naturally created forests, right? Where the different wild organisms, different animals, naturally they are protected. That areas we are calling as what? National parks we are saying. As we know the number, 90 national parks are there in India, we are saying. If you are taking the examples of the national parks here, Jim Corbett National Park, which we had here, it is the first national park in the India. Jim Corbett National Park. Jim Corbett National Park. National Park in Uttarakhand. In Uttarakhand is the first national park in India. Then if you are taking the other example of the national park here, Kaziranga National Park we have. Kaziranga National Park. Kaziranga National Park here. Kaziranga National Park is present in the Assam, we are saying. Assam. Then apart from the Kaziranga National Park, we had the Kasu Brahmananda Reddy National Parks. Kasu Brahmananda Reddy National Park we had in Hyderabad, particularly in Hyderabad. Kasu Brahmananda Reddy National Park is present. Then Harita Mrugavani Vanasthali National Park. We had near the Moinabad, near the Hyderabad, situated near the Moinabad, we had the Harita Mrugavani Vanasthali National Park and Kiradio Ghana National Park. We are in the it is there in the Rajasthan. It is there in the Rajasthan. These are the examples of the national parks we are taking, right? And national parks is clear. Then what about the biosphere reserves? If you are seeing about the biosphere reserves, what are the biosphere reserves? The name itself indicates biosphere reserves are the places where the human populations are not allowed here. Here particularly what is happening here, different species has been conserved. Different species will conserve. Particularly if you are seeing here, the biosphere reserves which we had here, it is again consisting of 3 zones. We are taking here, we are indicating the things here actually. 3 zones we had in the biosphere reserves actually. Here 3 zones. Here in the biosphere reserves, the outer zone we are calling as a transition zone. Outer zone we are calling as a transition zone. The middle zone we are calling as a buffer zone. The inner zone we are calling as a core zone. Right? Biosphere reserves are the places where particularly different species has been conserved here, where the human population are not allowed, we are saying. That means particular species are conserved, we are saying. Again the biosphere reserves which we had here, that area we are dividing into 3 zones here. Outer completely zone we are calling as a transition zone. The middle zone we are calling as a buffer zone. Completely inner zone we are calling as a core zone. Here if you are seeing here, in the transition zone here particularly, the human population they can live here. The human population they can live here. In the buffer zone is a place of the only tourist, right? And then educational studies here, where the people can come, they can study and they can see the animals, all these things. That area we are calling as a buffer zone. Core zone is a completely prohibited zone where the human population is not allowed, where the protection of the organisms, animals will take place. That zone we are calling as a core zone. Only the forest officials are allowed in the core zone here, right? This is about the biosphere reserve. That means in the biosphere reserves, minimal disturbance of the human population is created, because we human beings who are there, we are disturbing the biodiversity more. That's why we are not allowing into the biosphere reserve. Totally 17 biosphere reserves we had actually. The 17th biosphere reserve we are calling as a Seshachalam Biosphere Reserve. Seshachalam Biosphere Reserve. Seshachalam Hills, it means Tirupati Hills we are saying. That is the 17th biosphere reserve in the India we are saying. That means Nandagiri Hills we had, Gulf of Mannar we had, all these things also we are considering as a biosphere reserve. But 17th biosphere reserve we are calling as what? Seshachalam Biosphere Reserve we have. That this is about the biosphere reserves. Then sanctuaries. Sanctuaries are the places where particular species are conserved, or else endangered species are conserved. Endangered, it means they are facing the threat of extinction. That species we are calling as an endangered species. Right? That things are conserved in what? Sanctuaries. Totally in India, 448 sanctuaries we had. If you are taking the common example of the sanctuary, Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary we had in Rajasthan. Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary we had in Rajasthan, right? And then Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary. In the Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary, particularly Siberian crane can be conserved here. And Koringa Bird Sanctuary we had. Koringa Sanctuary. Particularly in Kakinada, we can see about the Koringa Sanctuary. Eturu Nagaram Sanctuary. And Eturu Nagaram Sanctuary we are seeing in what? We are seeing in the Warangal region of Telangana. Then Papikondalu Hills or Papikondalu Sanctuary we are seeing, that means Rajahmundry area, Papikondalu areas, we can see the Papikondalu sanctuaries here. This is about the sanctuaries we are saying. Lastly, we left about what? Lastly, we left about the sacred groves. Now, what about the sacred groves? See, groves are the places which consisting of area less than the forest, where the trees are grown. That areas we are calling as a groves. Then sacred here. The term sacred always indicate what? Which is consisting of a holy importance, which is consisting of a cultural and traditional importance. That means sacred groves are the places in the India where what is happening here? Where the habitat is present, where the trees are present, where the complete vegetation is present, which is consisting of a cultural and religious importance here. That means where the trees are worshipped, where the place can be treated as a holy place. That places we are calling as a sacred groves here. If you are taking the examples of the sacred groves here, actually, here Kasi and Jantia Hills we had. Kasi and Jantia Hills we had. Then Aravalli Mountains we had. Then Western Ghats we had. Then Sarguja and Bastar we had. Then Chanda we had. These are the examples of the sacred groves we are taking. Now if you see here, Kasi and Jantia Hills which we had here, they are present in the Meghalaya. And Aravalli Mountains which we had here, the Aravalli Mountains are present in the Rajasthan and Gujarat regions. And Western Ghats we can see in the Karnataka and Maharashtra. Then Sarguja and Bastar we are seeing in the Chhattisgarh. Chanda in the Madhya Pradesh. We are seeing. These are the examples of the sacred groves here. This includes the in situ conservation. All these things we are saying as a in situ conservation. Now ex situ conservation, if you are seeing, the ex situ conservation mainly consisting of different methods here. Here ex situ conservation, if you are seeing here, different ex situ conservations if you are seeing here. Ex situ conservations mainly consisting of what? Zoos we are saying, or zoological parks we are saying. Zoos or zoological parks we are saying. Apart from this thing, we are seeing it as a cryopreservation. We are seeing. Then in vitro fertilization. And gene banks. These are the four methods of the ex situ conservation. Particularly if you are seeing, we know about the in situ conservation. That means we are protecting the organisms, particularly in the on-site, the natural habitat we are calling as what? In situ conservation. Ex situ conservation already we are saying it is an off-site conservation. That means we are taking the organisms, we are taking the animals from one place to, from natural habitat to the artificial habitat, there we are conserving. That phenomena we are calling as what? Ex situ conservation. Ex situ conservation mainly consisting of what? Zoos we are saying. Zoological parks which we had here, that means Nehru Zoological Park we had in the Hyderabad. In the zoological parks, what we can see here, in one place we can see all the organisms, lions, elephants, tigers, all these things here. That means they are not present in that place only. They are taken, they are carried from all the other places here, they are shown in one place here. That phenomena we are calling as what? Ex situ conservation. We are protecting them in one place. That's why we are taking the zoos as an example, zoological parks as an example for the ex situ conservation. Cryopreservation. Cryopreservation, it means actually preserving the gametes, embryos, right, organisms, particularly at the temperature of -196 degrees Celsius temperature in liquid nitrogen. In liquid nitrogen we are calling as a cryopreservation. By the cryopreservation, the species which are going to, that means endangered or extinct species which are there, they can be preserved here, right? That means gametes of that species, embryos of that species, and that species can be preserved by the cryopreservation at the temperature of minus 196 degrees Celsius in the liquid nitrogen only. Right? There is a cryopreservation. In vitro fertilization we are saying. If you had organisms, where they are going to extinct in future, we want more number of organisms from them here, then what we can follow? We can follow the in vitro fertilization. Vivo means in the body, vitro it means outside the body. If you are conducting the fertilization outside the body, we are calling as what? In vitro fertilization. That means the fusion of the male gamete, female gamete outside the body to produce the new ones, we are calling as what? In vitro fertilization. Gene banks we are saying. What we are doing with the gene banks here? As we know, genes are the vehicles of heredity, we can say. That means chromosomes are the vehicles of the heredity, we can say, and genes are responsible for the transfer of characters, we can say. Genes we are collecting from the organisms which we require, that genes we are preserving in the gene banks here, and from the things we can produce the same organisms here, that are the gene banks here. Zoological parks, cryopreservation, in vitro fertilization, gene banks, both these four methods we are including in the ex situ conservation. The in situ conservation, by the ex situ conservation we can conserve the biodiversity for the maintenance of the ecological equilibrium, for the protection of the ecology, for the protection of the environmental sustainability, we have to conserve the biodiversity. And apart, a small information about the biodiversity conservation here, about the extinct species, about the endangered species, about the critically endangered species. The information will be given in the red data books. We are calling them as a red data books here. Red data books we are calling. Red data books. According to IUCN, International Union for the Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, this union or this organization will publish the red data books here. Red data books will give the information about the endangered, critically endangered, and then vulnerable species. Here particularly endangered species, it means what here? Endangered species, it means the species which are going to extinct in future. They are facing the danger in future, right? If you are not protecting them, if you are not conserving them, they will extinct. That means completely they will vanish from the earth, we are saying. Endangered. Critically endangered it means they are facing the high risk of extinction. Then vulnerable it means they are the wild organisms which in future they will be extincted. That's why we have to conserve the biodiversity. By all these things we are knowing that actually we have to conserve the biodiversity for the maintenance of the ecological sustainability, for the maintenance of the ecological equilibrium, all these things here. This is about the conservation of biodiversity, ex situ, in situ conservation, all these things we have been covered.